everyone, this is Mythical Daka bringing to you from my library, Rise of Nations Gold. Real-time strategy game from 2003, developed by Big Huge Games and released by Microsoft. And it's very Civilization-esque. In fact, I believe the lead designer had formerly worked on Civilization as well as Alpha Centauri. So what you do when you're setting up your game is you pick which civilization that you want to play. Each with different strengths and weaknesses, each with different unique units. You've got the Americans who get their first wonder built for free, government upgrades are free, stuff like that. The Chinese, science research at the library is 20% cheaper, and so on and so on. So you pick whichever one you happen to feel fits your play style. And you have a lot of options for your game. Whether or not you have teams or not, solved here. Diplomacy, which allows for allies later on. Survival of the fittest, which is simply everyone has to try to beat everyone else. You got this weird one called Assassin, where no alliances are allowed, and apparently each nation is designated a target nation. You can really only go after that one. Barbarians at the Gates, which to me sounds a little bit like a bit of a tower defense kind of mode, where it's you against everything else. And then you can set up teams. You can just choose what type of map you have. You can choose how large the map is, game speed, stuff like that. You can use completely custom game rules. Usually you start with a small town. You can go up to a large town. Set your population size. Set what age you want to start in, what age you want to end in. So you can limit yourself to, say, the medieval age if you want everything to be settled with knights on horseback or whatever. Or you can go up to the information age if you want stealth bombers and nukes. Different options for eliminating the opponent. You can either completely take over their territory, or you can just take out their capital. How many wonder points you need to generate in order to gain a wonder victory. Economic conquest, musical chairs. How much territory to conquer to take over the world, stuff like that. But let's get started. I'm actually going to set everything up so that this game goes quite a bit faster. Alright, that's good enough. Just going to pick a random nation, see what we come up with. You'll get some information on it when you click Start. I'll have one computer opponent. So I'm apparently playing the Dutch. And they give you these little tips, which you can then turn off, which I typically do. This is only here because I've recently reinstalled these games. And here's my capital, The Hague. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing this right. And you've got some basic units here. You've got a couple of caravans, or merchants, I should say, which I believe are a Dutch unique unit. Yep, unique civilian unit. You've got some workers going over on the forest here. They're working the woodcutters' camp. You got some workers on farms. And you got a scout here. And what I do with my first scout is I click the auto explore. And so he's just going to wander around the world and reveal the map to me. Now, the merchants, they need to actually find a resource, which my scout actually just found diamonds. So all you have to do is click on the merchant, then right-click on the resource. Now, the Dutch have armed merchants, which is different from other races, since they can actually defend themselves. We have a library going, and we have a market. And the market is used for trading between cities and can also be used to trade with allies. Library is used for research. I actually already have Commerce Level 1 automatically researched for me, as the Dutch apparently. So I'm going to go ahead and research military level 1, the art of war. And every time you progress in your research in the library, you gain new buildings, new units, new abilities, new research from your old buildings, which allows you to build a more powerful nation. I don't know if I found any other rare resources yet, so I guess that other merchant's going to be hanging around a while. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to build another worker. Oh, excuse me, citizen. And I'm going to set about building stuff with him. I'm going to build a barracks. This is where your basic military units are built. And I got a couple more going. Mountains are used to mine metal. And since I don't have a mining camp going yet, that's probably going to be a good idea to start mining. But I can't yet. I have to upgrade at the library. Alright. Which I can do right now. Upgrade to the classical age. What age you're in is based on how much research you have rather than a certain time limit. And by default, if you don't do anything with your citizens, they're simply going to go and start working on something all on their own, as you may have just noticed. Alright, so now that I have classical age, I can have this guy build a mine. So he'll go and build a mine, and he'll start mining metal out of the mountain. And I'll make a couple more citizens here. Send over to the mine. You're going to have multiple citizens building a building at once, as is typical. The more citizens you have working on it, the faster it goes. It also tells you how many citizens you can have working in a particular building. In this case, it looks like I can have about 6 citizens in that mine. Let's go with 3 for now. And then here in the barracks. And these are my military units, and these are the unit upgrades. Basic light infantry is the slingers. The heavy infantry is the hoplites. These are your classic Spartans. And then you have a range unit in the form of bowmen. And then you can make more scouts. And they can be upgraded into javelineers, phalanx, and archers. And the scout can become an explorer. Obviously, all with better stats, better equipment. Now, I'm not even paying attention to see if my scout has actually found any more resources. It doesn't appear that that's the case. But I'm going to build a couple of hoplites. I actually don't build light infantry, and I'll show you why later on. And I'm going to get some more research going. These last couple of items on age 2. And as you can see, for each unit that you actually get multiple men, which can lead to potentially large armies when you can have up to 200 units. And each one is, say 3 men. And that's a lot of people. Let me get a couple of bowmen going. And I'll start throwing in these upgrades here. And you got to pay attention to your resources. You have, starting off, these 5 resources in the game. You got food, which is generated by farms. You've got timber, which is generated by your woodcutter camps. You've got metal, which is generated by your mines. You've got gold, or wealth, which is generated by your cities and can be generated even further by your markets. And then you have knowledge, which is generated by scholars at a university, which I do not actually have yet. Later on, you also get oil, but that's not until the Industrial Age. You also sometimes get these messages with your scouts walking around that they'll sometimes come across some resources to add to your stockpiles. Now, as you can see, as I upgraded my hoplites, they were upgraded to these phalanx automatically. And the bowmen were upgraded to archers. And now I can't upgrade them any further until I've performed more research at the library. So let me get military level 2 going, and I'll get another couple of citizens here, as I'm going to need to start building some more cities, and more buildings. And you kind of have to be quick, because it's not long before these guys go running off to build something else. Alright, I'll have this citizen build a temple. And here comes a scout from the other nation who's about to get wiped out by my army. Or what passes as an army in this case. Alright, so now I've got a university going, and my citizen is running off to that lumber camp. And now I need to build some scholars, which costs money. But luckily I started with a whole lot of resources to begin. My opponents reached the classical age. You can turn those notifications off in the menu if you wish. I just don't know why you would. And now in the temple I can research taxation and eventually religion. And my taxation obviously generates more wealth. Let me see. Let me get a couple more scholars going here. And religion has its own effects, as you can see here. They always give you these little hot tips when you mouse over something, which is very handy. Just get a couple more citizens here. I'll probably build a new city at this point. So I'll have her come over and build a new city. Now your cities have to be built within your national borders, which are denoted by this faded red line here. So that does somewhat restrict where exactly you can build. As you can see, I can't build over here, but I can build over here. So I'll go ahead and build over here, since there's some forest and there's a mountain not too far away, so I can get some wood cutting and mining going on. And I need to build another citizen because the other one went off and worked. Probably at the mine, because I think that woodcutter camp still has some room. And I'll have this one build a stable. Now this is where your cavalry units are built, as you might have guessed. Later down the road it gets upgraded to a factory when you start being able to build tanks. That city's pretty close to being done. Now, individual buildings themselves have to be placed within city limits. Now I'm getting a warning because I'm being attacked by the enemy. Because I'm probably sitting here talking too much. That's alright, it's a small force. I can build more soldiers if I need them. In fact, I can build cataphract. And horse archers, and light horses. Alright, now that tells me that I need to kick my research up a bit. As I need to be able to build more powerful units. Alright, so the city of Middleburg is now done. So now I'll set about to building a woodcutter's camp, some farms, some mines. A mine, rather. And here in the market, you can sell excess resources or buy any resources that you may need, at least within the limits of food, timber, and metal. I believe later on you can also buy oil when it becomes available. And now I can research religion. Alright, from here I can build a granary, which helps with food production. And let's check my research. Now I can go up to the medieval age. Now, you might have noticed that my phalanx troops went down very quickly to those archers. Well, that's because there are hard counters to the game. As in, archers are strong against infantry, who are strong against cavalry, who are strong against archers. A little bit of a rock, paper, scissors thing going on. As you move along, you'll notice that your cities will grow. Those hard counters are actually also in effect even if you have, say, a major technological advantage, as in tanks can still be taken down by spearmen because spearmen are heavy infantry, tanks are heavy cavalry. So even though it seems silly that you can take out an M1 Abrams tank with a spear, within the rules of this game it works. Alright, let's set about to upgrading to light cavalry and knights and heavy horse archers. Upgrade my infantry as well. And all these little rare resources I'm pointing out here that my merchants are taking over, they do give you little bonuses. In this case, silk reduces the cost of commerce research. And they can do this anywhere, as you probably saw. This is just outside my national borders. Alright, I'm going to pull one of these citizens off the woodcutters camp, because I'm obviously never going to remember to actually check up on them. Have her build a market. I'm going to build a couple more. Granary provides other research related to food production, as you can see. And you just set about to researching your upgrades. You can be more aggressive, but this is how I like to do it. I like to upgrade as fast as I possibly can, so I have my most powerful units available when I do finally set about to conquering the world. Alright, let's get their farm going over here, and a farm going over here. We'll have you build a mine. Alright, and now my opponent who has just started a wonder. In this case, pyramids. Wonders are kind of a big deal because that is one of the potential victory conditions in the game. And wonders will give you some pretty healthy bonuses as well. In this case, the pyramid is going to increase their commerce limit for food. It's going to increase their city limit. There is a limit to cities, which you can find up here. I can build up to 4 cities right now. And improves their food gather rate. So let me grab one of my citizens here. Let's see if I can do it. I can build my personal favorite wonder, the Terracotta Army, which is 2 wonder points to the pyramid's 1, and creates a few foot soldier every 30 seconds or so. This is why I do not build light infantry. because I built a terracotta army and I have it build it for me. Zerg Rush. Alright, now I got this caravan here that I just built at a market, and his job is to work the trade routes between cities. He goes from one market to another, and he generates wealth doing so. And there, we have our Mayan enemy building pyramids, because that actually happened, right? Just like the Dutch built the terracotta army. As you can see, my opponent is slightly behind me on research. Normally I'd be a bit further along than this, but I'm slowing things down for your benefit. It's quite alright. I have the game on the easiest difficulty because, I'll admit, I suck. 30 years experience, and I'm still not very good. That's alright. Here's some other buildings that I'm putting up here. A lumber mill and a smelter, which obviously give you more research towards harvesting lumber and metal. And let's upgrade to the gunpowder age. Oops, I forgot to upgrade my scout to an explorer. Although my scout is probably actually dead at this point. Voila, gunpowder age. And I got more upgrades now. Elite light cavalry, heavy knights, and dragoons who actually have gunpowder weapons now instead of simple bows. My barracks, which now has a new look, I can upgrade those guys again. And I get elite pikemen, arquebusiers, and musketeers, which I need to upgrade to another age in order to do that, apparently. And you'll notice, actually, that when I upgraded my elite javelineers, that the option below the crossbowmen was taken away. That's because they're doing pretty much the same job at this point, so they both get upgraded to the same unit. Or perhaps not. Ah, they will get upgraded to the same unit with this guy when they become musketeers. Now you can see I have my dragoon, I have my heavy knights. I'm going to borrow my now slightly better dressed citizens. And I'm going to build a senate. Now this is obviously your capital building. You can only build it in your capital to the extent that if you build it in another city, it becomes your capital. And that lets you determine your system of government, which gives you different bonuses and also gives you a special leader character on the battlefield. And here's my terracotta army, which you probably remember from your Dutch history. And in a short time, you'll see light infantry start being spawned there. In this case, I believe I have arquebusiers. Basic gunpowder infantry. There. And now I can choose either despotism, which gives me military bonuses, or I can pick republic. which gives me economic bonuses. I'm going to go a little more military this time. You can, in fact, change the names of your cities if you don't like the names, like Middleburg or whatever. They do, by default, get actual names. Here's my special character general, the Despot. And let's upgrade to the Enlightenment Age. Ah, yes, Siege Factory. This is where you build some of your heavy hitters. Then an Anchorage. That's one of the few buildings that you don't actually need to build in your borders, just because it's already kind of restricted by the fact that you can only build it on a coastline. I think I'm now 2 ages ahead of my opponent here. And let's upgrade to the Monarch. Castles are an option. These are also not restricted by your borders. This can be a forward outpost. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. But it's not restricted by your cities. I think that's what I was thinking of. So I'm probably going to put one here because that's kind of a bit of a choke point for any land-based armies that may be coming my way. Build another university here in Middleburg. I'm building a secondary fortification here just to provide a little extra support for that fortress. It was a castle in the previous ages, but I hadn't gotten around to building it yet. And as you can see, I'm building quite a little army of musketeers here. You can double-click on a single unit, and it'll select all similar units on that screen. These are my new heavy infantry. My various heavy cavalry. And light cavalry. And over here in the Siege Factory, this is where the heavier units are made. I can build a catapult right now, but I already have the upgrade for a cannon. So I may as well just go ahead and do that. This is also where the anti-aircraft weaponry is built. Supply wagon. What this does is it keeps your troops from dying just for hanging around in enemy territory. It's what they call attrition damage. It represents the fact that they're a long way from home, don't necessarily have access to supplies. And so it ends up being kind of tough on them. The supply wagons are there to mitigate that. Alright, you can go and build... Oh, I don't think I need any of that right now. Build another granary. library, do more research. Ooh, I actually run out of knowledge. I need to fill up this university. I believe it's 7 scholars that can fit into a university. Alright, now to create a couple of cannons. And here's the anchorage where you build all your sea units. This eventually becomes a seaport or something like that, or a shipyard. And I'll just throw those upgrades in there. Evidently I must have some kind of bonus that gets me free light ships when I build an anchorage or something. I'll just have them auto-explore because I haven't explored any of the lakes around here yet. And seeing that that's exactly what that is, I should probably go build another fortress. More troops. Moving with military precision. I love that they stay in formation. Here's the cannons, which I believe they might have to be deployed, like artillery. Maybe not. And let's build another wonder, just for the heck of it. Yeah, let's build a Forbidden City. Dutch had the Forbidden City, didn't they? What's a good spot for the Forbidden City? Maybe over here. There isn't really anything going on over here. There's no mountains over here, but that's alright. I'm generating plenty of metal. And it'll be defended by that fortress. And that's the extent of my navy. I can build some light ships to take over this lake. Alright, since I've got kind of a sizable army going on here, let me make a couple of supply wagons. And we'll take a look at combat. Normally I like to wait until the information age, when I have everything upgraded. I'm coming after you with high-tech fighters and whatnot. But let's have a little fun. We'll get moving here. We'll see how my musketeers do against our Mayan enemies. Oh, and here's the stuff you can build at the fortress. You can build a generic general, and you can build a spy. I haven't really used the spy much, but the option's there. Stockade allows you to turn your local peasantry into not really basic troops, really sub-basic troops. But if you're under attack and your regular army is away, then at least you have some way to fight back. And here's the border for the... Well, actually, that's my national border. The blue one is the enemy national border. So we'll begin the War of the Dutch and the Maya, because I believe that happened, right? And you'll see if the influence of the borders become great enough, they'll actually kind of push against each other. Yeah, I wasn't expecting a lake to be in the way. That's alright. Ah, see? And here's their army with their monarch. You got plenty more troops on the way. And I got a little bonus for killing their general, it appears. Alright, so let me go back here and do some research while my army goes to town on the Maya. I believe I wanted to research the Industrial Age. Send some fresh troops down here. I'm taking care of the troops first. Eventually I'll have the cannons open fire on the buildings, specifically probably the military buildings first, and then the city itself. And now this will be fun, as I get to now upgrade my troops while they're in the middle of combat, and they will get upgraded. I'll start coming at them with machine guns and tanks. You see that my supply wagon already changed to a more modern design. Doesn't actually affect what it does. But now I've got riflemen and armored cars. Looks like my cavalry may have already been killed. I won't actually get my tanks yet. But I'm getting free riflemen from my terracotta army. Probably actually start building more universities. Alright, let's attack the city itself. See, they still have a horse archer coming after guys with machine guns. And now the infantry have to go in and capture the city. And so now I own that city. long as I don't give them a chance to take it back, I'll remain owning that city. And now I'm going and apparently murdering their scholars and their citizens, instead of going after the general. War is hell. Let's take the enemy capital. You can see the enemy horse archer was kind of glowing a little red there. That means he was taking attrition damage from my territory, because I've now taken this city over. Which, oddly enough, includes his pyramid. I guess that's a good thing I didn't destroy that. You'll also notice that patches of oil are turning up. That means that oil is now a resource. Now that I'm in the industrial age, I can start collecting and refining it. And that will lead to bigger and better things, especially militarily. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Rise of Nations Gold. If you can find it, it's quite an interesting game. Certainly worth every cent I paid for it. It was still $30 at the time that I got it. I've gotten many hours of enjoyment out of this. If you like real-time strategy, if you like Civilization, and you want to see the two married together, this is the game you want to go with. Actually, I need to upgrade these guys now that I'm in the Enlightenment Age. Actually, here's my research. Fresh troops. And victory. Wasn't quite expecting that, but I guess I captured the enemy capital after all, so that's that. The Maya have been crushed by the Dutch. So once again, Rise of Nations Gold, real-time strategy, Civilization-esque game. If that's your cup of tea, go for it. My name's Mythical Daga, and I'll see you next time.